Hello, Davison. Superintendent Kevin Brown coming to you with another edition of Brown's Blog. Coming to you remotely again today due to the governor's stay-at-home order and our continued issues with the COVID-19 virus. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the district's distance learning plan. Earlier this week, we rolled out our continuous education plan as required by the state of Michigan. And while we are still waiting for approval from the Genesee Intermediate School District on that plan, we wanted to move forward as soon as possible and try to get our kids back to learning and our teachers back to teaching. Almost immediately upon rolling out that distance learning plan, we started being inundated with questions. And I realize that there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of apprehension out there because this is new and people have a lot of questions and concerns. And I'm today asking you to just have patience. We know that this is new for everyone. It's new for us. We've never done anything like this. If you think about it, I mean, it was only a month ago, just over a month ago, and we had kids still in school. I remember sitting in the DTV studio on March 12th, Thursday, and telling everyone that as of that time, the Genesee County Health Department was not recommending that schools close down. Late that evening, about 11 o'clock, Governor Whitmer came on and shut down every school in the state of Michigan. And that shutdown was effective on March 16th. Today is April 17th. So even though it seems like an eternity that we've been out of school, it's really only been a month. And while that first shutdown was only scheduled to last for 2 weeks, obviously that quickly changed, and we now know that we're shut down for the remainder of the year. So the district has basically put together this continuous learning plan for distance learning, and we've done so very quickly. So we are learning as we go, so to speak, and there are a lot of questions that still have to be answered. I would like to, as I said before, ask for your patience as we work through this, and understand also that, that teachers are people too. I know that's hard to believe, but a lot of our teachers, like you, have children at home. They have spouses that may be out of work. They have family members that may be ill and need care. And so we just remember that we're all in this together. We want to work together with you for the benefit of your student. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. I also want to talk about something else that's been coming up quite a bit as far as questions regarding our distance learning policy, and that's grades. Believe it or not, almost as soon as we started contacting parents and students and rolling out this distance learning framework that we call it, we started receiving a lot of questions about grading. How is this going to affect my child's grade? So what about their GPA? Are they going to be able to graduate? Are they going to be able to advance to the next grade level? Please, please, please rest assured that no student is going to be penalized for the work that they do or don't do during this shutdown. Our distance learning plan is a hold harmless plan, which basically means that no student is going to be worse off as a result of the distance learning plan than they were prior to the plan's implementation. So no student's grade is going to go down as a result of distance learning. Now it could go up, and I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment. But I also want to talk a little bit about our philosophy for distance learning, because a lot of people get really wrapped up with the idea of grades and earning grades. And we really don't want to focus there. We want to focus on learning, not earning, as the saying goes. When the governor announced her stay-at-home order, she specifically said that while schools are closed, the learning must continue. And we believe that wholeheartedly. We don't think that we are ready at this time to start awarding letter grades or even pass-fail grades to students for working in this distance learning environment. We know that not all students have the same resources at home. We know that not all students have the same ability to connect and participate in a distance learning program. And so, again, we don't want to penalize anybody. We don't want anybody to end up worse off because of distance learning than they were prior to the start of the program. So we've told our teachers, we've directed our teachers to focus on feedback. What does that mean? Well, feedback is designed to assist students in their learning. A good analogy is when you go to the doctor and you have a physical. You don't go back to the doctor to get your blood test results and have him say to you, you're a C or a B minus. We wouldn't know what that meant. But instead, he tells us that our triglycerides are a touch high or our good cholesterol is a bit low. And he gives us very specific information, which then helps us make better decisions about our lifestyle and things of that nature. Well, the same is true of feedback. So teachers are going to look at the work that your students are doing. They're going to provide feedback to help them improve. And that way they will be facilitating your students' learning. And like I said, we have to be partners in this endeavor. And I know this is new for a lot of parents, but I'm going to give you some tips. So instead of asking your son or daughter, your student, hey, how did you do on your assignment today? Or did you do your homework? Ask them things like, can I see your activity from today's lesson? And then ask things like, what was your learning target? Do you understand your success criteria? Now, these terms may be different to you, and you may be unsure about what they really mean, but your students are going to know what those terms mean because we use them in school every day. So every lesson that we teach has a learning target. They have things that students are expected to learn in that lesson. And the success criteria is what tells them whether or not they're learning the material. So questions like, what is your learning target for that activity or that assignment? Or do you understand your success criteria? If your student can explain to you what the learning targets are and what the success criteria is, there's a pretty good chance they understand what they're supposed to learn, and they're going to be just fine, and they're going to need very little assistance. If you have questions about any of these things, believe it or not, the best place to get an answer is not on your Facebook group. It's actually to contact the teacher. Please contact your teachers. Again, we want to build partnerships with you. That's the only way this distance learning thing is going to work. So your teachers are there to help you. If there are things that you don't understand, if there are questions that you have about an activity or an assignment, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone or shoot them an email and let them know that you have concerns or questions. And if they don't respond right away, that doesn't mean that they're not going to respond. I know that as a parent, our focus is always, as it should be, on our own children, on our own students. But please keep in mind that some of these teachers have a lot of other kids. A high school or middle school teacher, for example, has an average caseload of 150 students. So the next time you email a teacher and they don't respond to you within 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or even a day, understand that they've got a lot of kids and they may be answering a lot of questions, but I guarantee you, I promise you that they are going to work with you and do the best that they can to help your student be successful during this trying time. I also mentioned earlier that I'd talk a little bit more about how students can improve their grades. Remember, no student is going to be penalized or have their grade lowered by not participating or not being able to meet expectations with our distance learning program. Okay, they will all be held harmless, but they may be able to improve their grade. For instance, if a student maybe wasn't doing as well as they wanted to at the time when school was canceled, maybe the student was struggling with fractions and decimals or percents in their math class. They didn't quite understand how those things all kind of went together. But after some additional work and practice through our distance learning program, they master that skill. And they now completely understand how fractions and decimals and percents are related. They understand that 1/2 is the same as 50%, is the same as 0.5. And they get it. The light bulb went off, so to speak. Well, that knowledge, that understanding of that particular standard or desired outcome could cause their grade to go up. If the teacher recognizes, and they will, that the student has now learned something that they hadn't learned previously, they will recognize that and give the student credit, and it could improve their grade. Another example might be a high school student in a chemistry class who really struggled with balancing chemical equations. But again, through additional practice and learning, they now understand not only how to balance chemical equations, but the different types of chemical equations and how to calculate molarity and things of that nature that couldn't have happened prior because they weren't quite there yet. So if students can demonstrate greater knowledge and understanding of standards that were previously taught, or they simply excel and really demonstrate a strong knowledge and understanding of the learning outcomes, that the essential outcomes that are being taught through our distance learning program, then that could cause the teacher to raise their grade as well. And it's not necessary for teachers to grade every assignment or to provide letter grades, numerical values, or marks of any sort, really, in order for them to make that kind of a determination. So again, no student will see their grade go down or their grade point diminished because of our distance learning program, but they could actually see their grade go up. So it's really a win-win situation for them, and we strongly encourage everyone, all of our students, to participate, and parents to take an active role in their child's education through our distance learning program as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention real quick when we talk about things like this is that when you are working with your teachers, please try to remain positive and work on building those relationships. We all know how important relationships are, and it's only going to help build a better rapport between you, the student, and the teacher, and make your student more likely to be successful. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today, well, not the last, but close to last, is graduation. You know, earlier this year, when the governor closed down schools, I announced that we were going to have to cancel our graduation ceremony. And those are probably not the right terms. I probably should have said postpone. I did talk about the fact that we were looking to reschedule. We do want to do whatever we can to honor our seniors. We know that this is a big deal, and pulling the rug out from under them this year has been a very trying and challenging time for them as well. I know that earlier this week we were in touch with Dordt Federal Credit Union, and we are reserving a date either in late June or early July where we might be able to hold a graduation. We're also looking at using our football stadium as a possible site if things are allowed that would enable us to do that, maybe an outside environment with some social distancing things built in might enable us to do something there. Um, Worst case scenario, if we're not able to hold any type of a gathering, um, I've talked with Randy Scott, our DTV instructor, and we've kicked around some ideas regarding a virtual graduation, um, which could be interesting as well. But it's too soon to make any of those decisions. Please know that we're going to do everything we can to allow your son or daughter to experience graduation this year if they're a senior. We're also looking at other ways in which to honor those kids. I know that my Director of Public Information, Michelle Edwards, is going to be putting out, if she hasn't already, a little video, kind of an Animoto thing with all of the kids' senior pictures. Um, so look for that. We're going to be putting that same presentation on our sign out in front of Central. And we've got some other things in the works as well. So we are going to try to honor those kids. The last thing I want to talk about today, I want to give another huge shout out to our volunteers and our food service employees who continue to do just a wonderful job of providing meals to our students and our families who are in need. We know that there are a lot of people out there hurting at this time, and these folks are doing a great job and providing a wonderful service to people in our community. So a huge shout out to our food service workers, our volunteers that are helping to distribute meals, and also to our tech department. We've had quite a few families requesting devices so that their students can participate in our distance learning program. And our tech department's doing a great job of getting those devices out to families and providing assistance where needed. So with all of that, stay home if you can, stay healthy, and stay safe. Thank you, Davison.